Welcome to another episode of On the Go Movie Reviews, where we talk about films on the drive home from the cinema. So tonight we've seen The Current Wars. I actually had to think about that then. Which, if you haven't seen the trailer, here it is.
Thomas Alva Edison.
Boys! Trust you brought your checkbooks.
I'm so full of ideas, it will take me 12 lifetimes to execute it.
I'm working on something now, something so new the world will never be the same.
Hello, I'm George Westinghouse.
Edison's new electric system is significantly cheaper than gas. Does that keep you up at night?
There's always more to see.
We are gonna be big.
Edison says he's months away from lighting up the world.
Stoves, washing machines, electric carriages.
I could do the same thing with electricity that I do with gas.
Westinghouse Electric Company.
Edison Electric, it has to be.
Are you rich?
At the moment.
Vultures in every venture. Gotta keep them away.
This is what he thinks of you.
Don't let him agitate you. This is how he is.
Suing.
Westinghouse Electric shall endure.
It's a parasite.
His current kills people.
Only because you said it would.
Mr. Edison, if you say something about me or my company again, I would ask that you tell the truth.
Automation, transportation, communication. The man that controls that current controls that future.
Though he may be unfamiliar to you, his studies have demonstrated an understanding of electrical matters unlike anyone I have ever known. Gentlemen and lady, Nikola Tesla.
So what's your trade? I fix problems for idiots.
Okay, so what did you think of The Current Wars? Pun. Haha, get it?
I think it's first of all, I think it's singular.
Oh, is it?
I think it's the current war.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, okay. My bad. Plural. Yeah, well, you know.
Despite all the prestige behind the picture and the superb acting talent,
Yep.
I don't think I really enjoyed myself.
No, I agree with you. I mean, the actors in it, there were some, huge names. Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Holland, Nicholas Hoult, Michael Shannon, and I'm afraid this is really bad for women. Sorry, women, I don't remember the names of the
Catherine
female
Waterson
actors.
plays Mrs. George.
Mrs. George.
I've forgotten his name already.
They said it so many times.
Waterhouse.
Was it?
No, that's wrong.
Began with a W.
No.
Oh, we're doing so well. Yeah, I
promise I paid attention.
although the actors were really good, I mean, I don't know much about physics or history, which are two very important plots in this movie. Well, I wouldn't even say plots, two important elements. So I know nothing about. This is gonna sound really bad. I'm a biologist. Know nothing really about how electricity came about. Who actually invented it? I think that's still kind of a bit of, bit like Darwin. It's a bit like, oh, who actually came up with it first? And this didn't help. It's just a series of events about some people in like the 1800s.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're really into like the history of like the development of electricity, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, I understand all the drama and I get it. But it's not a story that it is either not a story that translates well into a cinematic format, or it was the translating of the story. Because there's no main characters.
No.
There's no structure.
There's no real plot. It's just a series of events which occur in some sort of consecutive order done by the years.
Yeah, and there's like sometimes we'll focus on. Oh no, because there's also flashbacks.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, there's the Michael Shannon. I'm just gonna call the actors by their
Oh,
names.
of course, yeah, that
Michael
didn't even
Shannon
make
has
sense.
the weird flashback to when
Yeah.
he shot somebody during the army.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all, and it went nowhere.
I didn't really understand the relevance. Is it the fact that when he's in a life and death situation, he will ultimately choose to survive?
Maybe there is
what-
probably a deeper meaning to it.
I'm sure the director knows exactly what he meant.
Yeah, but it
for me, I
got
was just
totally
like,
lost in translation.
It seems as though because the movie doesn't overly have a particular focus.
No.
As well, like it decides really far of the way through that it's gonna set up the World Fair as like this goalpost
Yes,
that they're both gonna
yeah.
work towards.
And it wasn't really indicated that either. They just kind of mentioned it, and then they mentioned it again and again. And I was like, oh, that's an actual thing now that we're working towards. Okay, got it.
Yeah, because nobody really grows. It's not a personal
No.
goal for either of them. I think it's mostly just like a
Oh,
business
I think
one-upmanship.
it's almost, I suppose, like a retelling, a bit like the other one, Benedict Cumberbatch, about Alan Turing. But obviously that had like a plot and character development and things like that.
And it had a framing device as well, which I think
the name of it was.
It was the Imitation Game.
Imitation Game, that's one.
So it had a framing device as well to help you sort of like keep the story in
yeah,
the
and
cinematic
follow
track.
along, even if you knew nothing, which again I
Yeah,
didn't.
and to be fair, at the very beginning, it sets up what the whole thing's going to be, which is Alan Turing needs to invent a computer effectively in order to break the Enigma code.
Yeah, so I think that is like the better version of this sort of movie, whereas this it's just a bit all over the place. It started off quite well, I thought. I was like invested at the beginning.
Oh, I see. Okay. You talk about why you were invested at the beginning, and I'm going to talk about why I was not invested at the beginning.
Oh, okay. I was invested at the beginning, I think, just because it was like interest for interest's sake. I wanted to see where it was going, and I was like, oh, this is, the idea of being in a world, I think, where oil lamps are all you have, oil lamps and candles, and the idea that, how are they going to, create something more? They literally potato bulb, talked about this earlier, but it just kind of jumps, and I was like, okay, I'm still on board. And then over the course of the movie, about halfway through, I was like, I'm really hot. I'm really tired. I'm kind of not really invested. There's not enough Nicholas Hoult and Tom Holland in this for me. Yeah. I just kind of lost it.
I swear Tesla is like the more interesting of the characters.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of his story because I feel like this is
He's an immigrant and he comes over. He's got like a good Act 1 there.
Yeah. I feel like he was kind of just shunned, like it was almost too Americanized, so it didn't really focus on him. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Yeah, I just feel like his life would have had like a really good 3-act structure. I mean, it's not a happy ending, but
no, that was
neither was
quite a sad.
Alan Turing's life. You
yeah,
know?
that's true. Maybe that's the movie that you should write, Josh. You should write the movie about Tesla. And how there's now cars named after him. I did like that line. So
It's a good line,
there's a line in the movie. It's not really spoiler alert because you can kind of look this stuff up, or you should maybe know this. It's history.
So
it's
fair. It's fair game.
It's fair game. But there's a line where I can't even remember who it is, but he just goes, "Oh, Tesla, your name will never be on anything.
Your name will never be on another invention ever again."
And it's like, that's funny because all the cars.
Oh yeah, swinging around back to why I wasn't invested at the beginning.
Yeah.
It kept jumping around from scene to scene. Scenes would start in like weird places, or like all of the camera movements were these really long, sweeping shots that were continuously moving. There was no like geography to it. I was just like, what on earth is going on?
I did find some of the shots real quite unnerving because they did it from the kind of perspective of somebody.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh, I don't like it when they do this, because you get like things like lens glare from like the sunlight coming through the windows, and you get like eye lines of people in the wrong places. So I have to admit, I didn't really like the direction in this.
There's a whole scene of Benedict Cumberbatch talking to I think that's Matthew McFadden from Three Musketeers.
Oh,
Grumpy Athos.
Yeah, Athos.
Yeah.
It is.
He
Yeah.
plays J.P. Morgan.
With a giant red nose. I thought that was a bit over the top.
I
but
did not get that. But
I don't know.
There's a whole sequence when
wait,
they're talking about.
if you know why he's got a giant red nose, let us know.
Yeah, leave a
in the
comment.
comments. Go on.
There's a whole sequence where like them two are talking at like a dinner table, and it's about how they're gonna like absorb Edison Electric and call it General Electric.
Yeah.
And every single shot is at this really skew-if angle, like Dutch angles. And usually people use Dutch angles to show like unease.
Yeah.
Or to show that something's like not quite right.
Yeah.
But in this sequence,
they just used it all the time.
Yeah, they just used it for every single shot.
Yeah.
And it's like, what we should be having is close-ups on like Edison to show how angry he is at what's going on.
Especially, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch, his emotion range is so good. So the part where his wife dies at the beginning, and he's walking through a room full of mourners, and he starts off just straight-faced and fine, and then as soon as he's like literally always in camera, and as he keeps walking, like his eyes get red, they start to well up, and it's like, oh wow, like he's such an incredible actor, and I don't know why they didn't take more use of that for that scene.
Like make Edison into a more interesting character by allowing Cumberbatch to like give it some flair.
Yeah.
I will say that across the board, I thought that the acting was really good.
I felt like Michael Shannon only really does like angry bad guy. So at the beginning, I was a bit like, I only feel one emotion coming from you right now, and it's just very bland. Like, it's very flat in terms of you're just kind of pissed off all the time. Yeah, and I mean, towards the end, I feel like he got a bit more emotion in his acting, but
he does get his one crazy anger scene.
Yeah.
But I much prefer it when he plays psychopaths.
Me too. So, like in Shape of Water.
Yep, Shape of
Yeah,
Water.
he worked really well in that because he's just like, you know.
He is the best part of Man of Steel.
I have not
General
seen
Zod.
that, and I'm never going to, so.
Nah, don't bother. It's not worth it. But he is very good in that.
Okay.
And I want to commend Nicholas Hoult, because although he
oh my god, fantastic.
He doesn't get a lot of screen time,
No.
but his commitment to that accent.
Oh, just
magnificent.
brilliant. It's even, he's like talking quickly, and I was like, I can't actually understand you. No, I have a history of being very, very bad with accents anyway. Like, I can't understand people from the north of England, let alone sometimes other countries. In fact, I can probably understand other countries better than north of England.
An Englishman doing a Serbian accent.
Yeah, it was just incredible. Like, I literally want to see him in a Tesla movie. That's what I want to see.
What I loved as well is the fact that, like, in every single scene, he looks like he's got, like, a million things going on in his head at once.
Yeah.
And that he's struggling to, like, focus on, like,
yeah, he
whatever's...
just looks like he's constantly thinking. Like, when he's... the scene in the hotel when... don't remember his name, George turns up. And he just, like, he, like, sits down, stands up, sits down, and then he's like, I think the room is off by 2 degrees.
2 degree angle.
And it's just things like little things like that, and you can genuinely see, like, on his face, it looks like he's thinking about it constantly.
Like he's analysing
everything.
Yeah. And he always wears, like, the best suits.
Oh my god. Some of his suits. Oh, beautiful.
I love the stuff that he was wearing, and then the stuff that Catherine Waterston was wearing.
Yeah, some of her
Like-
dresses were amazing.
Like,
I was very jealous.
like all the other dudes are just wearing like these like black suits. Like, it's not particularly interesting, but like. But Holt's wearing stuff which has got like funky patterns on it.
Almost like brocade and things like that. Like
and Catherine Watson's like, oh, she's got like purples.
it was the blue and
red,
gold
yep.
stripe dress. That
That's nice.
that was one of my favorites. Yeah, I mean the costume design, the world design was really really good. You know, for the era.
All the sets look great.
Yeah, it's not an era you see very often in movies. I mean, probably more so now. But that's kind of a recent thing, and I think that they did really really well in that kind of element.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I look at it and I go, oh, it's got a lot of prestige, because I feel like a lot of money and effort has gone into it.
It's just a shame that the story was a bit meandery.
I was actually thinking when I was watching it, because like there are certain scenes which are only like a few seconds long.
I don't
like,
remember any of those scenes.
One that I remember is like you just see like Edison like working from behind, and then somebody slips a bit of paper in which just says Franklin Pope has been killed. And you don't really get any like reaction shot or anything. It's just like, yep, that happened.
Yeah.
And there's
it
one
kind of cuts in between, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there's one with like Tesla, where he's like, I'm working on this stuff, and then the two guys that he kind of is working for, they're like, nope, we're gonna sell your patents. And he's like, my patents? Cut.
Yeah, I didn't. There was a lot of stuff I just didn't understand, because it just wasn't very well explained. It was almost. I mean, maybe if you understand all that stuff, it makes sense. But as someone who knows nothing about all of it, I was just like, I'm so lost right now.
I just wanted the movie to slow down.
Yeah, but then it was quite long at the same time.
Yeah. I was like, if it slowed down, imagine how long it'd be. So I thought maybe, so I didn't know if like maybe it was like an editing thing. Like they were like, oh, we've got all this footage, we want to put all of it in the movie. We can't cut any scenes out.
I felt like it was a very, very long middle act.
I
like
can't
very,
even tell
very
you where
short.
Act 3 is.
Exactly, very short Act 1 in terms of, you know, the setup. A very long second act, and then the third act was. I feel that's probably from. When everything kind of comes to a head, so the not carnival, the fair happens,
the World Fair,
and the execution happens. Yeah.
Which they cut together. Whoa.
Yeah.
Symbolism.
Did think it was hilarious. I was like, oh well, that went terribly wrong. Yep, we had to electrocute him 3 times.
I like the fact they just breeze over little things like Edison electrocutes 11 horses.
Yeah, yeah. And when he's like, "Oh, horses are no thingy to a man," and I was like, "You horrible beast! I'll kill all of you for 1 horse." That's
Because even then they're like, "Oh
Poor
yeah,
horses." I was literally just like, "Oh, don't do that."
Well, they're like the exact line of dialogue is cats, dogs, sheep, and 11 horses. And I'm like, how many dogs and cats and sheep is this?
Yeah.
They're not numbered. Is that because it's too many?
Dunno.
Oh.
Poor animals.
I do quite like how quickly they go from, it's right at the very beginning, Michael Shannon's like, we push gas to all the houses, and then it's like, Edison invented electricity, and then he's like, alright, now I have electricity too, but it's different.
Yeah, I didn't realize that electricity was Edison, this other guy, and then obviously Tesla is the one that obviously we remember.
Yeah, well, none of them invented it.
Oh.
Well, not invented it. None of them sort of discovered it.
Okay.
But they're
wow,
all
that just blows my mind.
They're all working on harnessing it.
So who discovered it?
I do not know.
The man with the potato and the light bulb, right?
Yes, the man who invented the potato, the potato battery.
If you've done that experiment, comment below. Let me know how you do it. Maybe link another video or something. I got to try this out. Maybe we'll upload a video of me trying it. Probably won't, but we might.
Step 1: do we have a potato? No. Okay.
We can buy one. Tesco has potatoes.
Step 2: do we have any spare light bulbs? No, we don't.
Oh. It's not going very well so far. Crocodile clips, is that what we need? And the Why? I don't know. I've never done this experiment before.
Yeah.
Tell us what we need. Comment below.
Do you know what I wanted to find out more about?
What?
Uh,
Tesla?
Yeah, it's
Tom
gonna
Holland?
say. I do not know what the point of Tom Holland in this movie
I don't know,
is.
but I liked his character. I like the fact they never explain that he's British and why he came over or anything. He
It's
just
just
is.
Tom Holland playing Tom Holland. And at one point, Catherine Watson's like, he's like 12.
I know! And he's like, although I am young, and I was like, oh, it's because you look like you're about 12.
It's like in one universe
Even
over,
with your sideburns and mustache.
in one universe over, he's like 16.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the fact they keep calling Benedict Cumberbatch a wizard. I was like, he is, but not
He
in this
is.
universe.
Think you'll find.
He's quite the sorcerer.
Quite the supreme sorcerer, you might say.
Wait, yes, no, wait, back to what I was saying.
Yeah, sorry.
I was fascinated by Nikola Tesla's, the motor that he invents.
Yeah, because it kind of breezes over that as well.
Yeah, the electricity used to create the magnets. Magnets then spin the motor and stuff like that. I was like, wow, that's interesting. I wanted to see, because they say about, like, the whole movie's about, electricity getting into people. And then, but Michael Shannon says over and over again, I can't make any machines move.
Yeah, and then they never actually show you them doing that.
Yeah, and I was like, but that sounds interesting. Like, I want to see, like, that.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the sewing machine blowing up or whatever. I want to see, like, the next stage of the evolution.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this big history of electricity,
Add that in.
yeah, take it to the point where I would say it revolutionized the world, which is
And
now machines
to the
move.
modern day, you know.
Mm.
Actually, what I thought was quite funny is at the end where they're recording Niagara Falls, and I was like, wait a minute, you're on the Canadian side. How did you get over there? Get back across your line.
It looks nicer from the Canadian side.
It does, yeah. Well, because that's the big horseshoe, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the Canadian side. Also, I was also like, oh, it never ever looks like that anymore. Oh, global warming, am I right? Oh. Yeah.
I wanted more of Nikola Tesla's like that little flick book that he has.
Yeah, because it turns up and he's like, kind of like a bit coy about it. He kind of keeps it secret and hidden away.
Because it's one design, but you can only see the whole design because when it's spread across
When it's
all
spread
the pages.
out, yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. Can we see it? And then the movie was like, no.
No, you've seen it once.
No, these are secrets.
This is a secret. You're not allowed.
Maybe that's the main thing that I take away from this movie is, hey, isn't Nikola Tesla more interesting than these other guys?
Yeah, that's literally what I got as well.
And wouldn't I love to
Like-
see Nicholas Hoult play Tesla in a movie all about
yes.
it? Make a sequel.
Just make a Tesla movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. From then to now. Whoa. But it wouldn't. It would be till his death, and then you just put a little bit in writing at the end.
Yeah, you'd get the old, the white text on the black screen.
Yep.
Saying about how sad it is when he died.
Yep. And about how he revolutionized the world, and about how now his name is known.
But back then,
Around
it
the
was all like
world.
sad and whatever.
Oh, I like the idea that, I mean, it might be true, I don't know, that Tesla was born in a lightning storm.
I think even if that's not true, that's just something
It
that you
should
would
be
say.
true.
Yeah. Like in my head, I'm like, yeah, sure, that's a
Yeah.
fact.
And like, if he really was, you know, if that was kind of like a truer depiction of him, I would be interested to know. I mean, obviously, there's got to be someone out there who has some sort of record of what he was like.
Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
Wikipedia.
Right.
That's what I'm gonna do for the rest of the evening.
Well, enjoy that.
I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that.
You know you won't. You
I'm
get
gonna
be like, I
I'm
can't
like,
be bothered.
oh, learning is hard.
Learning is difficult.
I don't want to have to read a whole bunch of boring stuff about electricity.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to use electricity to read about electricity. You know.
You just watched a movie about it. You should know everything about electricity right
Yeah,
now.
I would if the movie actually bloody explained anything. I would. But it doesn't. All I know is that one gun works in the rain and the other one doesn't.
I think. Oh, sorry. I think that with that bit, it was to do with fact that he'd been holding the gun out in the rain and the gunpowder got wet.
Oh, because he's been distracting him.
Yeah, because he was distracting, and I guess that's the point that he distracted Edison to get ahead of the game because he wasn't there. But by distracting him, he then
He allowed him, bought himself time to
yeah,
to catch up.
and therefore succeeded. I guess.
Maybe that's what
Maybe.
that means.
I don't know.
It's hard to tell because the movie's confusing.
Yeah, it is very confusing. I don't really have much more to say about it, to be honest.
No, even I'm struggling to come up with. Just in my mind, I just went, "What was the music like?" And I was like, "Can't remember."
I don't remember.
Oh, one thing which I will say is, one thing which I do have a problem with is in historical movies when they make references to amounts of money,
Yep.
because
You have
I
no
know-
idea how much it is.
yeah, I know that whatever number they say doesn't mean the same as it does nowadays, because they're like
Yeah.
throwing around the term $5 million.
That's oh god, gotta be a lot of money in those times. A lot of money, like thousands was a lot back then.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like, I don't know how much that is. Like, I need like a frame of reference to be like, oh, back then, this was $10 billion.
Yeah.
And I'd have been like, damn, that is worth doing all this crazy stuff over.
Yeah. I mean, my rewatchability 1, 2. It's
0.
not high.
I do not want to watch it again.
I don't think I would buy this on Blu-ray to watch it because we don't buy DVDs. I probably wouldn't watch it on Netflix. So yeah, probably a 1. 1 being the lowest. I don't go to 0 unless it's really bad.
That's fair enough.
Like if somebody was gonna watch it, like say we're at my parents' house or your parents' house, and they were like, "Oh, we should watch this," I'd be like, "Put it on in the background. I don't care if you really want to watch it."
I'm gonna sit on my phone.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit and do something else. Just talk through it. So yeah, not high on Amy's rewatchability.
I think American history
Yep.
is inherently uncinematic in a way that British history is.
Okay.
Like, if you like, I was just thinking about like British historical movies, typically like World War type stuff, like Tolkien from earlier this year,
Oh yeah.
also
Yeah.
starring Nicholas Hoult. Like we kept talking about the Imitation Game, even things like Our Finest.
Yeah, that's true.
You know.
I suppose things. I mean, we didn't see it, but things like Churchill.
Yeah.
And the one about Margaret Thatcher.
The Iron Lady.
Iron Lady. That all kind of had
King's
a.
Speech.
Yeah, it all seemed to have an element of drama
Mm.
that the American ones don't.
Even
seem
the
to have.
Downton Abbey movie.
Has so much drama.
I'm just saying, I watched the trailer and know exactly what the movie's about.
I want to know where Matthew Good is in that.
Where is he?
If you know where Matthew Good is in the Downton Abbey movie, let us know. Put it in the comments.
If Matthew Good is watching this, can you tell us what you're doing in the
Yeah.
Downton Abbey movie, please?
When you say watching this, you mean listening to this?
Or listening to this.
Whatever.
It's on YouTube.
We need to find out. Because, yeah, he's not in the trailer. But he's in the poster.
But yes, my point is
Anyway.
that like British history is inherently cinematic in a way that American history
I think
just
it's
isn't.
partly to do with the fact that Britain is a much older country. So when we go back, obviously further, I mean, America, like, they say things like, oh, this building is really old and it's only a couple of 100 years. We say, you know, this is really old, it's like thousands of years
Here's
old.
Corfe Castle.
You know.
It's 2,000 years old.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's,
Maybe not.
I suppose it's kind of, if you know that, look it up. Put it in the comments. So I guess it's kind of to do with that as well. The idea that we've got a much richer history to pick from, so we can pick the more dramatic moments in our history because it's longer. There's more to it. Whereas American history only has so much they can pick from, because it's not there's not as much of it.
So it's let's make a movie out of this war over electricity, even though it's uncinematic and doesn't work.
I think it could have been good. I just think that
I think
didn't
maybe
work.
if it had a re-edit, maybe. Like if
perhaps.
if it chose like a main character to focus
To
on and
focus,
follow.
yeah.
You
I would
know.
have probably put some character development in there if it were me, but
Yeah, there's a lot of very stubborn, unchanging guys.
That's that.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Hit the little bell. Oh, I missed out. Hit the little bell to stay notified.
I'm leaving that here.